Hi, my name's Harry, and today I'm here to talk about why mobile phones, and in particular social media, is a dangerous drug. So, we all use social media, it's a big part of how our society operates these days, but here's some quick little facts to help highlight how common it actually is. So, studies show that 95% of UK households have at least one mobile phone, and the vast majority of these are smartphones. More people own a mobile phone worldwide than they do a toothbrush, and sites like Instagram can have as many as 500 million daily users. Um, the first problem that I think social media has is the mass amount of bullying and negativity, particularly at such young ages. So 81% of parents report their kids starting using Facebook between 8 and 13 years old. So a lot of the time people are so young that they're very vulnerable to criticism and harmful content, which really can be too mature for people of that age. 88% of teens have witnessed someone being cruel on social media, and the number of sexual assault cases related to social media has increased by 300%. So one of the main reasons for this is there is no real accountability for your words. People can often critique and say horrible things to each other anonymously, and even if it is not behind a made-up username, a lot of the time it's behind a screen. So that means there's no real repercussions for being negative, and this kind of creates an environment for negativity. Another problem is the mass scrutiny from people across the entire world. So humans naturally are tribal animals. This means through evolution, they've only really been operated in small groups until recently, where the whole world can pretty much access your everyday life within a click of a few buttons. So this means that you can be under criticism by basically thousands of people online, and humans just aren't really built to deal with that. Humans, evolutionary speaking, are built to operate in a small society. So this can lead to awful things, such as recently a high-profile case, the sad death of Caroline Flack. A lot of this came about from mass criticism for actions of hers, which a lot of the criticism were based on allegations and fake news. And the problem is people were making judgments and making comments about non-factual things because the case hadn't yet gone through the courts. And so it's very hard to police what is said on social media, and it's also very hard to police the truthfulness. So yeah, a lot of the time the scrutiny can be too much for people to deal with, especially when it's on such a mass scale. So another problem is the fact that we're constantly masking real life. So for example, when scrolling through Instagram, you very rarely see real life now, whether it be altering how you look to make sure it's the best, the activities you're doing, the friends you have. For example, a lot of the people don't show their everyday lives and instead try to make everything seem better than it is. And this is dangerous because it constantly means we're comparing ourselves to other people, especially when it's not actually real life a lot of the time. And it also creates a very dangerous dynamic where suddenly people are judged on their follower count and how many likes they get instead of who they are as a person. Addiction. So Harvard University study shows that when you get a notification such as a like or a comment, it releases a chemical called dopamine. So dopamine is the exact same chemical that is released when you do drugs, gambling. It's associated with pleasure and not happiness. So the problem with dopamine hits is it can make you feel short-term pleasure, which can mask true happiness. So you can often feel good about something for a short amount of time, but then once the pleasure goes, then you're obviously not feeling as happy. So this can lead to people craving attention and likes online, because instead of people actually trying to find true happiness, instead they are basically trying to get as much dopamine as possible to kind of mask the fact that they can be unhappy. Finally, procrastination. Every second, over 500 hours of YouTube content is released. So there's pretty much an endless amount of content available to consume. The problem with this is that these sites are often designed to keep the eyes on the sites for as long as possible, which means that you can often get caught spending hours upon hours watching content without actually living real life. So this means that these sites can often get in the way of goals, building relationships with family, or just living everyday life, so it can really get in the way of what you want to achieve. So then again, I also think that is something that's very dangerous.